I am the son of a billionaire. Feel free to ask any questions. A brief introduction. I am 29. My father's net worth is almost $2 billion. And given the pace of development, this number will soon be much higher. That's all for now. I am ready to provide more information upon request. I will try to answer as honestly as possible, but somewhere I will have to answer superficially to maintain anonymity. I'm in a pretty unique situation, but I can't really discuss my father's wealth in real life. It's a taboo topic for us, so this thread should be a kind of outlet for me. It's important for me to talk about this so as not to lose touch with the world and to show an alternative view of our lives to people who have a lot of prejudices about the rich. If you're interested, ask questions. Where did you go to school? Were your classmates rich like you? How do you make a living? I went to a private school in elementary school, boarded in high school, and then went to a private university, where I successfully dropped out, because my parents' wealth grew as I grew older. The people around me were constantly getting richer. Until recently, I didn't even realize how rich they and I were. Growing up, I had a pretty distorted view of the world. As for my current job, I have a very ordinary profession in the tea industry with a very ordinary salary. I don't do anything that could make me rich like my father. We had an interesting discussion in sociology class the other day about how all people strive to call themselves middle class. Poor people often consider themselves low middle class, while people who earn $100,000 to $600,000 a year call themselves upper middle class. It seems like wealth is like a stigma, and you yourself wrote that you have a taboo on the topic of wealth. I wonder what you have to say about this. Why can't you just say that you are rich? Have people ever gotten mad at you because of your money? What should people from other classes know about super rich people so that they don't get treated that way? I don't like to talk about my wealth because there's always a big risk that it will cause resentment. Sometimes it feels like I should apologize for being in the top 1%. There's a popular belief that this money shouldn't belong to us. People feel like we're playing a zero-sum game where we get rich by stealing from the poor. I don't want people to hate my dad because of his money. He works like a horse to earn that kind of money, but his only goal was always to provide for his family. That's the same goal that most fathers have. It just so happened that my dad earned a lot more along the way, but I don't think he should feel guilty about it. He never took money from the poor. He just achieved success in his own business. It annoys me when people criticize him for the fact that his career has brought him a fortune. And I don't mean to say that he is better than people who do not have such financial success. Obviously, he was lucky somewhere. Somewhere he was in the right place at the right time, etc. I can also explain the dislike towards me, because I did nothing to live like this. On the other hand, I did not choose this life, so I do not think it is fair to blame me for something that is beyond my control. Can you name one thing you didn't have as a kid? A gaming console. My dad called it Super Nintendo, but for some reason he wasn't against computer games, so I always had a top-end computer and laptop. He couldn't curb my obsession with games. When I started earning money myself, the first thing I bought was PS2. I have no doubt that your dad worked hard for that money, but do you think that effort is enough to make you 1,000 times richer than anyone else on earth? That's what pisses me off. Granted, wealth isn't exactly a zero-sum game, but there is a fair amount of truth to it. A tiny bit of your dad's wealth would have made a lot of people's lives a lot better, and his life would have stayed pretty much the same. Still, your dad hardly helps anyone. That's what pisses people off. As I wrote above, my parents give away more than $20 million to charity every year, and this amount grows proportionally to their wealth. All these donations do not dissolve in a vacuum. They provide people with food, water, education, etc. The businesses my father created allow many people to live in comfort. His companies pay taxes, but they do not control the tax rates, so you cannot blame them for not paying enough. You can continue to think that he has much more money than he deserves, but to claim that he does not spend this money to help is not worth it, because this is an obvious lie. What cars do you drive? Subaru Outback 2014. Before that, a 1998 Outback that was a bit rundown. I don't think that's the answer you were expecting. As for my parents, they have a Mercedes GLS and a SL Roadster on each property. Those are their main cars. They have a bunch of others, but nothing special. They mostly have old Fords and Chevys that their employees use. Is your girlfriend aware of your net worth or what? Money has never defined a man. Tell us more about yourself and your interests. Do you like toast? Do you despise cauliflower? How do you feel about the game Scrabble? Well, my wife obviously knows everything. We also have a couple of friends who also know about my family's money. They've been to their estates. Everyone else, I hope, thinks that we are ordinary people who live a little better than the middle class. Toasts, I love them. Cauliflower, my wife somehow manages to disguise it well. I love Scrabble, but I prefer fast games. I'm a typical Redditor, white, male, introverted, gamer. I don't have any particular ambitions and I'm pretty sure I'll never even come close to achieving what my dad did. By the way, I feel a hell of a sense of guilt about this every day. Wait, so your dad doesn't share his money with you? We use my family's assets. We get awesome Christmas presents. Plus, my parents set us up with trust funds that give us $28,000 a year each. But we have to work for ourselves to live comfortably, at least for now. Give me $5? I might have, but you forgot the magic word. Have you seen the documentary Born Rich? It's about the adult offspring of billionaires. A couple of questions. At what point did you realize that your parents were very rich? Do you feel like you grew up in a bubble, so to speak, and took for granted things that more modestly living families don't have? Born Rich, I've watched it several times. As I said in another comment, for me it's a rare opportunity to see how life works for people in similar situations. I realized that we were rich too late. Until I was 23 or 24. I didn't realize how out of touch I was, but I want to add that when I was little, we had much less money, although even then I took many things for granted. What are your thoughts on the current economy/politics? What do you stand for? Libertarianism, radical socialism, social democracy, liberalism? On fiscal issues, I am a conservative/libertarian, which is perhaps not surprising. Tell me, as a conservative who may well one day have some influence, are you not concerned that the lower classes are growing angry because they now earn a much smaller share of the generated income than their ancestors? I don't think we're going to see uprisings comparable to the French Revolution, but I'm still curious about what this rise of populism and anger at economic imbalances will turn out to be. What changes do you think we'll see in this direction? Here's a fact: 90% of wealthy families lose their wealth within 3 generations. In 70% of cases, the money is gone after the first generational change. Economic mobility is inherent in all generations and always comes with obvious regression. I agree that we are currently living in a period where all the money is concentrated in our hands, but it will not always be like this. As in any other economic sector, there will be ups and downs. I would not be surprised if in 10 to 15 years we will read articles about the fall of the super-rich families. Perhaps I am too naive. In addition, many of the richest people on the planet have already committed to donating up to 99% of their wealth upon death. Most of the money of Buffett, Gates, Zuckerberg and the like will not go to their families, but I agree that the hostility between classes is a big problem. That is why I am not very willing to tell my friends about my financial situation. As for my political influence, God forbid, the last thing I want to do is deal with politicians. Thank you very much for watching. Write in the comments what you think about this situation, and don't forget to watch other videos.